You know, very quickly, I've noticed a trend. I remember when the conversation around tenure elongation was going on regarding the Chief John Oyegun-led NWC. What you saw was the kind of council or group of state party chairmen come together and say, we are for tenure elongation. We're not going to go into a convention. We're not going to do congresses and all that. Now, we're seeing something very similar here. How ultimately do you think the party will be able to keep their governors in tow, those who are kicking against the direct primary, while also ensuring that at the grassroots, the ordinary party members are going to have say over who ultimately they field in an election? Because the idea, I understand, is that if the grassroots members support a particular candidate and he emerges, then obviously the likelihood of that candidate winning in a general election is increased. So how do you do that?
No, you see, the way these things usually work out is that everybody still recognizes that the president is the leader of the party. At the end of the day, as democratic as we may be, we still listen to what the president says and what will be his preference. And at the end of the day, he will give his advice, and people will adequately consider the advice. All these things that you are seeing, all these skirmishes that you are seeing, has to do more with the fact that, maybe some people think that the national chairman did not do enough consultation. He was a bit dictatorial in the way the thing is being imposed. But I think at the end of the day, they are going to meet, they are going to discuss, consensus will be reached. And I can bet it with you that most will go for direct primaries. There are places where we have, yes, logistical challenges when it comes to primary elections. But at the end of the day, most will go for direct primaries.
Go ahead, please.
Do you think then that the headlines are exaggerated when you see things like APC state chairman, Dare or Shomole? Because one would have thought that, look, they were all in the meeting together. I mean, the governors were there, the chairman was there, even the president was there. You know, shouldn't they have known precisely, I mean, trash this matter out and reached a decision?
No, I can tell you that the headlines, as we are seeing, they are exaggerated. The reality on ground is that there is people at this, some governors, some state chairmen are disgruntled, and they want to protest against the style of the national chairman, with their misunderstanding anyway.
Why are they disgruntled? Because some people will say that the state chairmen are firmly in the holds of the party leaders in their state. And oftentimes they will go with what the party leaders, and oftentimes if they're the governors, it's most likely what the governors want.
Not in all cases. Not in all cases. Don't forget that we have governors in 19 states, I think. How many states? There are states also.
That's why I said the leaders. So in some states you might not have governors, but you might have ministers, for instance, and the state chairmen will be firmly in their hold.
It always turns out to be that in the final analysis, what the president wants, what the national chairman wants, variably gets to be what the National Committee will end up supporting, and they have a mechanism of persuading the state chapters of the party to support those positions. And it's going to happen in this instance. Just like you said, it happened in the tenure elongation issue. So it's going to happen again here.
Have you been able to aggregate, say, the feeling of members, fellow members like yourself, in terms of how this conversation has been going?
No, members clearly prefer to have a direct primary. Just what I told you, people became sick and tired of what the experience was in the Ekiti State, where you have aspirants giving up to 500,000 naira to delegates, and when you have 3,000 people just determining the fate of the direction that the whole electorate is going to go. People don't like that. The grassroots people actually prefer the direct primaries. This kind of adverse mentality that comes in the mind of delegates is no longer good. Also, let me say this, that one of the reasons we're asking for direct primaries is that the contest for state party offices and at ward, local government, state level, the contest for those offices will be less fierce, will be less cantankerous if we allow for direct primaries, because this adverse mentality, this economic rent culture that attends primary elections will no longer be there.
What's not so clear, even from the first announcement that was made by Governor Lalong until now, really, is what is it that will determine, what is the criteria on which one will understand how the state chapter of the party would be able to essentially change the position of the national leadership of the party on the direct primary. We've heard if you get a majority of the state members, but certainly there must be other criteria, no?
Maybe your state, you prefer to have indirect primaries. If you can get all the aspirants to agree that they want indirect primaries, if you can guarantee that you have you are not going to monetize, the delegate voting system and other factors, the NWC will probably allow you to go ahead with it. The critical factor is that all the aspirants are in agreement that they want to have indirect primary. But if there is one aspirant, I want to believe, that is dissenting over that issue, the position of NWC will prevail of the direct primary.
Shouldn't it be about majority? When you talk about one aspirant, shouldn't it be about the majority? I mean, shouldn't majority carry the day?
When it comes to the aspirant's perspective, there is no majority, there is no minority. It is the decision of the people where majority, minority comes in, because every aspirant is an equal stakeholder. And when it comes to that, you must put into consideration the interest of everybody. Because that aspirant that you are ignoring may end up going to court and may bring all kinds of allegations and create all kinds of problems for the party.
But some of the issues that would then arise is you talk about, okay, if you're going to, for example, in a state chapter, get involved in the registration of new members, a registration drive, who would then drive that process? Of course, you would have to imagine that it's the state executive committee. In that regard, if a state executive committee is loyal to, say, a minister at the center or loyal to a governor or whoever the case may be, might they not use that registration drive to essentially welcome members that are loyal to potentially their benefactor as opposed to other aspirants that are not in line with the whims of the benefactor?
It will be difficult. Those who are members of the party now, they are members of the party. You want to bring in other people who are not members of the party and want to register them now. It cannot be on the basis that they are loyal to any particular person inside the party. Don't forget that you'll be bringing in people who are either from other parties or who are not affiliated to any particular party. In that instance, it will allow all aspirants to go out to reach out and work on the registration exercise and ensure it is a success. Because it is very difficult to skew the registration of membership in favor of any particular person in the same way that you can skew delegates in favor of any particular aspirant.